Welcome to video 11 of tasks in Scala. In this video, we're mainly going to be working on consolidation of the concepts that you've already been seeing with a few details here and there. About the task that you will do after this video, we're actually going to do a part together in the video and then you'll do the rest after. So it's all about the gym energy up. This gym offers several group classes and personal training. And for the app of the gym, we need different functions that provide us with the correct information. So we'll do the group class part together and then you will do the personal training part as the task of the day, task 11. As you can see here, this multiple line comment, I put it between slash star star slash instead of with all of the double slashes. So this is how you can also make a larger comment if you want. Let's get into the group classes part right away. For all group classes, we need to store the name, day, and time. And then there are 3 different group classes. There is Zumba, Yoga, and Bootcamp. And the first 2 are inside and the other one is outside. And for the classes inside, we also need to store the room where they will be given. And finally, the yoga class additionally holds a yoga type, which is a string, and the Zumba class an energy level, which is an int. So if you read this, you might already think, well, we're going to use inheritance, what we've seen in the last video. And yes, this is exactly the case. Let me show you a little overview of how I would implement this and how we're going to implement it in this tutorial. First, we're going to create a group class. That's going to be the super class. That's not a real word, I just invented that. Okay, first we're going to create the group class, and then as a subclass, we're going to have the bootcamp class and the group inside class. And from the group inside class, we're going to have 2 subclasses, the Zumba class and the yoga class. So instead of making all the classes directly subclasses of the group class, we're going to have one class, let's say, in between, because the yoga class and the Zumba class have some shared functionality, and that's why we can use the group class inside. So this is very typical how you would write sort of this hierarchy for the inheritance with arrows. Well, it's maybe not perfect over here, but you get the idea. So we have the superclass group class, then we have a subclass bootcamp and another subclass group class inside. And this class is once again the superclass of the Zumba class and the yoga class. So let's get started with the group class right away. We're going to create the class group class, which will have a name, a day, and the time, and we're going to give it a function getClassInfo that will return a string with the information of the particular class. So we're going to create an interpolated string that simply states the name and then the day and the time. Oh, I see that I called this start time before when I was making this. So let's just keep it the same, otherwise I might get confused. Now we're going to create the class group class inside, which is going to extend the group class. And as we could read over here, for the classes inside, we need to store the room where they will be given. So we will have the name, the day, the start time, and then the room. This class will extend group class, and we're going to pass on the name, the day, and the start time. So right now what we can say is group class inside is a subclass of group class. Therefore, this means a group class inside is a group class. So this is just a way to talk about it, right? We know that the group class inside is a subclass of group class because the group class inside extends the group class. And this also means that when we're talking about types, that a group class inside is a group class. And it's also a group class inside. Okay, let's continue. Now we're going to create a yoga class. So this is going to be a case class with a day, a starting time, or what did I call it? Start time. A start time, a room. I'm going to call this room name. a room name, and the yoga class additionally holds a yoga type, which is a string. And this one is going to extend the group class inside. The name of this class is yoga. And then we can create actually an interpolated string using also the yoga type. So we put that between parentheses. Okay, let me put this on the next line just for readability. So we are extending the group class inside. First, we are passing on the name, then the day and the start time. We have received them as input as well, and the room name the same. Okay, so the yoga class extends the group class inside. Let's write that down. Yoga class is a subclass of group class inside because it extends the group class inside, right? So this means yoga class is a group class inside when we're talking about types. And because we saw before that a group class inside is a group class, this means a yoga class is a group class. Okay, so I have this little drawing again just to illustrate this. We have the superclass group class, then the subclass group class inside, and then from that one we made another subclass yoga class. So this means that a yoga class is a group class inside and therefore is a group class. Okay, let's save this so we can compile it. Well, no warnings, no errors, everything seems to be just fine. Great. We're going to continue with the Zumba class. Case class Zumba class. Also, this one is going to receive the day, the start time, the room name, and additionally, the Zumba class holds an energy level, which is an int. Level int. Once again, I'm going to write it on the next line for readability. The Zumba class is going to extend the group class inside. For the name, we're going to make an interpolated string Zumba with the energy level. Oh wait, we have to write down energy level, otherwise they don't know what the number is going to mean, right? Energy level, then the day, then the start time, then the room name. And finally, we have the case class bootcamp, which is also receiving a day and a start time, and there is nothing extra about this class, and it is not a group class inside, it is simply a group class. So we're going to extend the group class, we will give it the name bootcamp, and pass on the day and the start time. Now we have created all of the classes according to this little overview. So on top we have the group class that we had over here with the name, day, and start time. And then we have a bootcamp class that we just made, which is a group class. And then we have the group class inside, which is a group class and adds this room name. And then the yoga class and the Zumba class both extend the group class inside. Now we need some data. I'm going to copy it here. We're going to walk through it and you can pause the video and write it down as well. We start here. First, I created just a few helpers, let's say Monday, Tuesday, Saturday, and then 2 timestamps, just so it's easier to write down. Then I created 3 yoga classes, Monday at 10, Monday at 8 p.m. and then on Saturday. A yoga class is case class, so you can easily create a yoga class like this without the keyword new. We have the day, the start time, the room name, A1, I just invented something, and then the yoga type. And the same holds for the other 3 yoga classes. Then I created the Zumba classes, which you can also do without the new keyword. So we give the day, the time, the room, and then finally the energy level. Over here, just like we saw with the booleans, we can just write energy level is. Let me just save that so you can see that it compiles. So whenever you want to give the extra label, because it might be confusing what this is actually about, you can do that. So that is just up to your preference. And then one bootcamp class, Saturday at 10. Bootcamp was a little bit shorter. It only needs the day and the time. And then I just created one list, which is a list of group classes with all the classes together. Okay? So if you want, you can pause the video, or maybe you already did that, and write down all the information. Now, note that this list is of the type list of group class, because each and every one of them is also a group class. Okay, now we're going to do some fun stuff. What we need in the app are all group classes for a specific day and all Zumba classes for a specific energy level. But we want to see beautiful information. So instead of returning a group class, we're going to return an instance of this new class that we're going to make, external group class, which only has one string, which is the class info, and that contains the info like this, which is equal to the function that we actually already made in the group class over here. So we created this function, get class info, which returns a string, and it prints the name and then a dash and then the day and the start time, which is equal to this. So this is our assignment. The first thing we're going to do is copy this out so it becomes code that the compiler can read. So now we have the case class, external group class, which we're going to be using. The first thing we're going to do is create a function that converts a group class into an external group class. Okay, so we're going to define two external group class. The input is going to be a group class of type group class, and the output is going to be an external group class. And what we do is simply create an external group class, and the string that we use to create it is exactly the output that we get from get class info from the group class itself. Let's compile this. Okay, it's all fine. I didn't make any typos. So we can just easily test this quick. We say we're going to create the external group class of, for example, the bootcamp on Saturday. So the bootcamp class is a group class, so we can put it into this function. And then what this should print is the external group class. Okay, let's see that. And as you can see, it prints the external group class with this one single string in this form. Okay, I'm going to remove this because this was just a little test. Now we're going to get into the first real thing that we have to do. We have to get all the group classes for a specific day. Now we're going to do this in a few steps to get to the final result. We're going to create a function that's called get group classes for day, which has the input day. And just to get started, we're going to return a list of group classes, and then we'll do the next step, which is to create a list of external group classes. Okay, I'm going to put it on the next line for readability. So we have the list of all the classes over here, which we're going to be using. So we say all classes, and we're going to filter all the classes for which the day equals the input day, right? This is what should give the right result. Now let's compile this. And we get an error. It says value day is not a member of group class. So let's go back to our group class over here. Now note that group class is a normal class. It's not a case class. So what does that mean? For this class, the parameters by default are private if they don't have var or val in front of them, right? We saw this before. This is the case here because we didn't put any val or var in front of them. So what we would want to do is put the val in front of the day, because then automatically Scala generates a getter for us and we would be able to grab the day like we tried to do. So let's just put the val here and we're going to try to compile again. Let's see. Oh, now we get a different error. For the yoga class, it says override modifier required to override concrete member. And it's talking about the parameter day, which is a string which is defined in group class. Why do we get this? Well, remember that for a case class, the parameters, even though we don't write it, they are automatically vals. So that also means that they are automatically generating the getters for them. But when we are extending a class, that means we also inherit all the methods from the other class. So we are actually already inheriting that method, that getter method, from the group class. So now we have a conflict between the two day strings, which we want to be the same thing, but the compiler is like, we have two different things, but you're calling them the same thing. This is very confusing. So there are two ways in which we can solve that. The first one is that we can write here override val. And as you can see, now we have errors in the other case classes because of course they have the same issue, but the yoga class doesn't give the problem anymore. And the other option is that we give the day a different name. We just say instead of day, we say D or something. And then over here, we also have to pass on D instead of day, because now there is no conflict between the names anymore. Let me show you. And this part once again compiles fine, and here we still have the errors. Okay, so those are the two options. You can use override val, or you can just change this parameter name so it is not exactly the same as the other one. So I'm just going to go with this option because it's a little bit easier to read. So let's just do the same thing with the Zumba class and the bootcamp class. We're going to change it to D, and then also over here. Great, let's compile. And now we have no errors. Okay, so let's just test this. Get group class. Oh, this is actually get group classes for day. So for example, for Monday, so I'm just reusing right now this value just so I don't have to write Monday. I can just write Mo, which is really convenient. Okay, let's run this. Oh, and as you can see, I didn't put a print, so it just shows it here. Let's print it so it shows up. And here we have it. There are 3 classes on Monday, 2 yoga classes, and 1 Zumba class. Okay, now we go on to the next step, which is that we want to see beautiful information. So instead of returning a list of group class, we want to return a list of external group class. External group class. So what do we have to do? At the end, we have to add a map so we can convert every element to the external group class element. So we're going to do a map for each class. We're going to call the function external group class and give the input C. Now we still have the test over here, so we can just try it out. And I made a typo to external group class. And now it prints the 3 classes, but as external group classes. So we have the external group class, which is yoga Kundalini Monday at 10, the other yoga, and then here the Zumba with the energy level 3 Monday at 8. So that's perfect. That's exactly what we wanted. So what we did here is we have a list with all group classes, then we filter out all the group classes for a specific day, and finally we map all the group classes to the external group classes. So this is just calling a function just like we would do in another mapping. Just to show you a quick example of what we've seen, we had, for example, the number of lists, and then what we could do was map each number, and then we could do some operation like +2. So let's give this a name. This is the new list, and then we print the new list. So then we would get the list of 2, 4, and 5, because with every number we added 2. So this is performing a function. This is also performing a function. It looks a little bit different, but it's really the same thing. Okay, so just to show you that it's nothing new, basically. Okay, I'm gonna save it to keep it clean. Perfect. So now we have the group classes for the day. Let's test it also for Saturday. Once again, I'm using the value I saw already, and now we get a list with the classes on Saturday. There are also 3 on Saturday. That's great. And now for the other thing that we have to do, get all Zumba classes for a specific energy level. First, we have to create a list with the Zumba classes because we only have a list with all the classes together. So here we have a Zumba classes list. And now we're gonna create a function that's called Zumba classes for energy level. The input is going to be an int, which is called energy level. And the output, just like with the other function, is going to be a list of external group classes. I'm going to continue on the next line for readability. So what are we going to do? We're going to say, well, from all the Zumba classes, I want to get the Zumba class of which the energy level is equal to the energy level that we received. And then we're going to map the Zumba class to the external group class. Let's compile this. And it works. So you might think, but we have a Zumba class over here that we try to input to this function that is expecting a group class. How can we do that? Because the Zumba class is a group class. So this is perfectly fine. We're going to try this out for energy level 1. Print that. And it gives us one class for energy level 1. And now let's try it for energy level 3. And it gives us 2 Zumba classes for energy level 3. And as you can see, it's being returned as an external group class exactly as we wanted. Okay, now there's one final detail that I also want to give to you, and that is if we go up, the classes of which we actually wanted to make class instances, otherwise called objects, are the bootcamp class, the Zumba class, and the yoga class. But of the group class and the group class inside, we were never planning to actually make an instance. We only created those classes so we could have some shared functionality for the other classes. If this is the case, then we can actually make those classes abstract. So let me just copy this comment here so you can save it. When we create a class purely to have functionality in common for the subclasses, but not to create an instance from directly, make it abstract. Okay? And how do we do that? We just write in front the word abstract. That's all. So we do that with the group class because we didn't make a class instance of the group class, and we're going to do that for group class inside as well. We just say abstract. Let's run it again. And as you can see, everything works perfectly. So it's not obligated, but it is more clean because your intention is not to make class instances from it. You only want to have it as shared functionality. So we just say abstract. So that's another small detail. Now we're going to move on to the part that you will be doing, which is about personal training. So let's read through it. The Gym Energy Up offers a variety of personal training classes. All personal training classes have a name, a coach, a day, and a time. And they have 2 methods, get title and get moment method. So here we see the 3 different options that exist for personal training. The first one is individual personal training. The second one is duo personal training. And then the last one is a small group personal training. And between parentheses, you see if they have a fixed coach or not. And then for the personal training with more than one person, so the duo and the small group, you need an additional parameter with the number of participants. Okay, a little bit more information about the 2 functions that I mentioned that the personal training class should have. The get title should return a certain string per different option. So the first one has to return individual training by Joe. The second one, duo personal training by Drew. And then the last one is a dynamic one. It says group personal training for X number of people and coach is X. And then finally, the get moment should return a string combining the day and the time of the training to have that as one. Sounds exciting? So I made a little overview as we did before to get an idea of how you can structure the classes. So what we have here is the superclass is going to be the personal training class, and then the individual personal training is going to be a subclass of that. And then since the duo personal training and a small group personal training both need an extra parameter, which is the number of people, you can put that in a multiple personal training class, which will be the subclass of personal training. And then these two will be subclasses of multiple personal training. Now here I will give you the schedule of how this is offered at the gym. So they have personal training on Monday and Tuesday at 10, duo personal training Friday at 7, and then small group personal training. There are two options. The first one is for 4 people and the other one is for 3 people by 2 different coaches. So there are 2 steps, just like we did right now. The first step is to create all the necessary classes and the class instances or the objects. And then the second part is the information that we need in the app are 2 different things. We want all personal trainings for a specific day and all non-individual personal trainings for a specific number of people. But once again, we want to see beautiful information. So instead of just returning the personal training, you're going to return an instance of external personal training, which is going to contain the title and the moment. And those 2 will be coming from these 2 methods. So you will be able to use everything that you have learned in this video and put it into the task. I hope you have a lot of fun, and I hope you've been able to practice some of the concepts that we've already seen, and I will see you in the next video.